Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Snowboard Kids for the Nintendo 64. Don't have anything weird or out of the way planned for this episode today. It's just plain old-fashioned two races right in a row. 2 episodes in a row. What the hell's wrong with me? Yep, in this video we're going to be playing entirely as Jam, who is probably, this is going to be like, say, the last point, I think, the main, like, say, story, like, mode where he's at his most useful. Because around this point of the game, let's say the gloves start coming off around this course in the game. Right there, I just took a shortcut for this stage here, and that's one of 3 shortcuts in this course. I never take the regular pathway on this one here, so you never see the, like, you know, the left route all the way around with the pillars there, but there's really no reason to use that one. This one up here is a bit more trickier. See that dark space in between the sign? You gotta aim for there when you jump specifically so you can reach in here. Although I wouldn't really call this pathway a shortcut per se, it generally seems to take about as much time as the other one does. However, it has this nice cache of coins in the middle here, that's its big advantage, and none of the other CPUs ever use this one. But yeah, it's right around the same amount of time that it takes to go the normal way around. And it also means that you can't use the third shortcut here. It takes you out pretty close to the ending of the third shortcut, which is right there on the left where Nancy just passed right by. Playing this game has made me realize just how much I really don't like the bombs, actually, in this one, because I think the explosion lasts for just long enough to the point that it can hurt you, too. And yeah, I was glad I was able to smack Tommy off the ledge on there. That'll slow him down for a bit, but if you look at his icon on the right side of the screen, you'll see a little bit eventually he's going to throw the pans at us, and he's just going to, like, say, zoom and catch us. It's like, watch his icon on the right side of the screen. Watch it, and now just see how it just kind of, like, say, you kind of, like, zoomed up there a little bit. Yeah, that's the rubber banding in action, so yeah, I'm still going on about it, but that's because it's just one of the game's biggest flaws. I really can't do any two ways about it. But yeah, I would say these last 2 courses here of in this video, these 2 races that I'm going to be showing, this is probably, I'd say, the last point, like, Jam is really going to be useful. You're going to want to have someone who's generally emphasizes speed for the remainder of the game afterwards. But we'll get to those when we get to those. With this one right here, it's a pretty good idea to start doing a couple amount of good tricks on the side. There aren't too many big jumps on this stage, but just, like, say, a couple normal-sized ones, so you can't really do any of the character's special tricks, which usually take up more time than a standard like, single looping trick tends to. And if you're noticing that I haven't been really talking too much about things like character special tricks, like, say, so far, and that's because there's really, they're nice to show off and everything, but in practice, when you're in the middle of actually doing the regular, like, say, playthrough, they're really not all that, you know, practical, because they just take too much time, and when you're in the heat of things, doing the little control stick inputs when you're crouched down before a jump is usually just a bit too much extra thought that you don't really want to do. Yes, they get you more money than usual on a regular trick, like anywhere between 250 to 350 gold. So coming out right here is a third shortcut right there. So yeah, that's like comes right before the exit of, like, say, that big interior tunnel pathway, and this is the exit of that. So that's all 3 shortcuts or alternate paths on this stage. But yeah, the special tricks, those are always the ones that you see with the blue, like, say, sparkles whenever you're doing the trick. Most of them, sorry about that. Most of the actual, like, say, the most basic special trick you can do involve, when you're crouched, moving the control stick left and right and then jumping, or sometimes left, right, then jumping. And yeah, if you ever need, like, say, like, firing a bomb when you're over a chasm that can, like, has, like, a little divot, it's gonna, like, do, like, a big V-shape, like, say, like, and use, like, say, the divot as, like, a ramp or something to launch itself into the air before it hits a wall, so firing your projectiles off of a ledge like that, usually not a good idea, because it's not gonna end up hitting anything. I'd say this one has, this stage here of Night Highway has maybe, like, my 3rd favorite piece of music in the game. I'd say, between, like, say, this and the second game here, like, say, yeah, that's Jam's, like, say, most basic, like, left, right, special trick right there. I have him actually on the freestyle board, which is the slowest board, but does better turning and tricks, because I found that even with, like, say, the all-around board for Jam, that this stage here has, like, say, just enough intricacies at certain points that I wanted the extra handling and not, like, say, the extra speed. Now, this point right here for me may seem like it's going bad, but I'm able to at least get through in the end. I mean, like, I wouldn't be showing you this if I didn't make it. So that's two characters I was able to knock off ledges by encasing them in a snowman. And I've actually found myself, like, more appreciating the snowman weapon during this playthrough. In the second game, the snowman is far less useful. I tend to find there's more wide open areas in the second game, and because of that, the snowman just generally doesn't tend to have as much usefulness as it does in this one, which is has more narrow courses, I find. Nah, don't worry, I win this one. Like, that's the advantage of being in third and fourth place. It's pretty easy to get the frying pan weapons, so unless somebody has the invisibility icon, which some of them do on the harder courses for things like this, yeah, it's pretty. At this point of the game, it's still pretty easy to catch back up to first place. Even when you're in, like, say, third or fourth, close to the end of the third lap. But be careful of that jump right there, because an invisible wall kind of, like, pushes you to the right, and you might actually find yourself being smacked up against it. Yeah, you can smack yourself up against invisible walls in this game, and it can be annoying. So I was able to get Tommy, and I'm able to stay ahead of Nancy at this point right here, so I can claim the win for this one. I was a little bit worried at this point. I think it took me, like, say, 25 minutes or so in order to get a first place on this course right here. And even so, I'm just thinking that just knowing some of the other parts that I've recorded already, the later courses, which are just kicking my ass, really. It's like last night alone, I had to scrap an hour-and-a-half long recording of the same exact course because I kept losing to it. Yeah, you heard me. But since I always want to save after I win something, so I make sure that I don't, lose any of the progress right there. That's why I always, go out of my way to make sure I go ahead and save it, because I don't want to have to, like, redo that win all over again. On this course right here, you can use the Alpine board. There are a couple tight turns here, but this one tends to favor speed a bit more than finesse in the turning. Although it isn't probably the best thing, maybe Nancy probably would have been a bit better on this one for the Alpine board, because on the few tight turns that there are on this course, they could usually be a little bit harrowing, and Jam on the Alpine board can't always really seem like he's going to cut it. Like, say, right there, I almost fell off there, and that ledge I jumped over, that's a bottomless pit below, so you want to make sure you're able to physically jump over that, not just, like, let yourself glide off the edge of there without jumping, because that can make you just barely miss the jump, and then, spiral down, then you have to get picked back up. Normally taking that left path, which is, like, say, the main alternate path that none of the other CPUs tend to take, it's not really much of a shortcut. It doesn't really seem like it saves you any time, but it's the one that's good to take if you don't want to have to deal with any of the opponents trying to shoot you. And up here is the next diverging pathway right here. This right pathway I tend to find is a bit treacherous for that exact reason alone, because there are two jumps like that go into ravines that can, knock you down and force you to, like, have to, like, wait to be picked up and you'll get put back later in place. While none of the other CPUs take that one, if they, they hit you with a pan or something like that, like, Murphy's Law, you're going to get hit with a pan when you're on there. Off that jump right there, you kind of want to make sure you're oriented to the left, because you can bonk yourself into those sunflower rows right there, and you could lose all your speed. And I just barely was able to pull off the invisibility by the time the pans hit me. Seems weird if you're just doing a standard, jump, no tricks or anything off of a ramp, you can still use your projectiles and items. But if you're in any way doing anything else, yeah, you can't. So, and you can find yourself sometimes mashing the B button to activate an invisibility when you're in the middle of a trick and you're not going to activate it because it just doesn't let you. Oh, if you keep seeing those, like, say, those billboards and signs that they have as part of the decoration here that say Snowbow Kids, SNOWBOW, That's the game's Japanese title. Yeah, they call it Snow... Yeah, I screwed up there. They call it Snowboard, kids, in Japanese. I have no idea why. Is that actually what they call snowboarding in Japan? I never would have known that if that is true. But this place, I'm going to be taking the right side path, which is the main side path. It's not really too good idea to do some of the tricks there, because I feel like you don't build up enough speed, you're not going to be able to, like, say, navigate this part of the course too well. This giant, really weird barn that you have to go through as well. So they use invisibility right before I hit the blue box, so I can, you know, use that without replacing it. And I just use it a bit too early in order to not avoid getting... I wish I could have avoided getting hit by that pan, but oh well. I used to think this course here had some of my favorite music in the game, but depending on my mood I'm in, it's kind of like, say, 4th place or 5th place. Oh yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention. We're not on a snowy mountain anymore. We're not snowboarding on snow. We're snowboarding on a grassy plain. Stupid rocks. But yeah, this is the first of the, what I call the gimmick courses, where, well, you're not snowboarding on a place where you would naturally think that you would be snowboarding on. You're in one of, like, say, the special side places that they did in order for the sake of visual variety, or just simply to change things up a little bit. Like I said, this is a cartoony game. This is not one that you go for, like, realistic sim stuff. This isn't 1080 snowboarding on the N64, which is, like, say, the main competitor on the same console for this. It's not quite as arcadey and exaggerated the way the SSX games were, starting with the for the 6th generation. But it's still plenty fun on its own. Like I said, it's closer to a kart racer to an actual, like, say, other snowboarding games are. But hey, there's nothing wrong with that, because I consider this a really good, like, say, Mario Kart sort of clone. Like, of course, there was other good Mario Kart clones on the Nintendo 64. We had Diddy Kong Racing, you had Beetle Adventure Racing. Yeah, there was no shortage of good racers on the Nintendo 64. That was one of the console's biggest strengths. Snowbow kids just look so weird. But yeah, nothing really too special, I guess, otherwise to mention about this episode. There's only, like, 2 alternate paths for this course. Pretty simple to go through once you know your way around it. Again, that turn there is probably the biggest, sharpest turn, like, say, on this course on there, and probably the biggest reason why you would want someone like, say, Nancy or Jam on the freestyle board instead of the Alpine or Again, on the freestyle board instead of the all-around board or the, or the Alpine board. It was a good thing that I actually did run to that blue item box. I was actually trying to avoid it, so I was able to get the frying pan. So once I clear this section here, I'll be able to get ahead a bit. Especially after something like that happens to me. Thank you, Linda. I remember, like, say, one of the recordings I scrapped because I was losing on it. It was just, like, say, one moment where there was just pans everywhere, like, say, every like, say, 10 seconds or so. Haven't had that happen to me again, but also, I tend to find, it seems like more often now, but whenever I get the fan power-up, I always end up bonking into a wall and losing it. I don't know what it is. It must be that, you know, that Let's Player's curse thing that a lot of people like talking about. And again, this path can be treacherous because, and almost again, Murphy's Law. You go down this path here, you get hit by a pan right before a jump that, you know, could send you into a ravine and make you lose a whole bunch of time. Probably a better thing to use on if you're playing, you know, a multiplayer thing against actual human opponents. And just like Mario Kart 64 and some other racing games, there always tends to be, you know, that one opponent for every race who always seems like their artificial intelligence just seems to be more gifted or, like, say, advantageous than the other ones are. And in this match this time, it's Tommy. In this other course that I was trying to take, it was Nancy, like the one that I spent an hour and a half on. I had to scrap all of it because I kept losing. Nancy just kept, when she got into first, she kept that lead and would not lose it. It was just, if she did lose it, she would quickly, you know, just like screw you over in order to get it back again. So that's what I'm up against right now. So this is about, like, say, among the last of the easier courses. Like, there's one more quote-unquote easy course after this one. But I guess my main point when I'm going on that little tangent is, this game can get really hard, like, starting at halfway point, because now, like say now the AI just becomes just so much more aggressive, antagonistic, and almost like they're cheating with some of the power-ups they get. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.